When discussing Sonic the Hedgehog online, debates often emerge for varying reasons. From the gameplay of individual games, the designs and art style of the characters and world, the music composition, and so on. But one debate every fan is most likely entertained at some point is, which voice actor is the best? For Sonic's character, he's had an enormous amount of voice actors over the years, but I wanted to look at the more significant projects and actors for today. Other actors have given notable performances though, such as Takeshi Kusao being the earliest voice for the character in all regions. He voiced Sonic in Japan during the pre-adventure days, mainly doing advertisements and arcade titles featuring the Hedgehog. In fact, he voiced Sonic in Mighty the Armadillo and Ray the Flying Squirrel's first appearances, Sega Sonic the Hedgehog, a Japanese exclusive arcade title. The first voice we'll be looking at, and Sonic's longest tenured actor by far, is his seiyuu in Japan, Junichi Kanemaru. My first exposure to his voice was in Sonic X when I was learning about the radical changes the 4Kids dub had made to the show. Wanting to experience the true Sonic X, I rewatched the show with the Japanese dub, and I have to say, it makes the experience a lot better, especially during those first 2 seasons. Not to knock on the 4Kids cast, but they were all new to the characters, and some of the performances weren't entirely on par with the Japanese actors, or actors from the games at the time. But the voices of the Japanese cast are all pitch perfect, and Kanemaru even gets to have a little extra fun with Sonic, sprinkling in English phrases throughout his performance. It's something that he does with Sonic periodically in the games as well, but it's most prominently featured in Sonic X. To the point where Amy even mimics his English at one point, which got a laugh out of me the first time I heard it.
Come on! Oh, what a great view! Come on! Hey guys! Okay! Oh, of course! I'm alright!
And yes, Sonic swears at one point in episode 2. I feel like I should mention that. It was out of place then, and I stand by the fact Sonic characters really shouldn't be swearing even now. I will admit, Sonic X is the only time before making this video I'd been exposed to his voice, so to see how things had changed, I listened to how his Sonic sounded in the adventure games and Heroes, and then looked to his voice in the Boom cartoon and Forces to see how things had changed over the years. And if there's one thing I'm always impressed by with Japanese voice work, it's the consistency of the performances. From Adventure to Forces, he's been pitch perfect in the role, and I'm somewhat envious of Japanese Sonic fans getting to have such a good, consistent actor in the position for over 95% of the Hedgehog's voiced career. His English phrases have even been a part of his performance since the Adventure titles, and they've drastically improved over time, from some hardly distinguishable words to merely speaking with a thick accent, and as someone who struggles to speak any language that isn't English, I applaud him for being able to enunciate his words so well.
Amy! Wait! Gosh! Here we go! Okay! じゃあ俺がひとっ走り行ってそれを取ってくるさ! その竜がどこにいるかわかるかい?
あの高いお山のふもとにある大きな洞窟.
Alright!
おい、まさか今からドラゴン退治に行くつもりじゃないだろうな。
そのまさかさ。
貴婦人との約束はどうするんだ。行けば絶対間に合わないぞ。
かもな。でも俺は騎士の道よりも俺が行きたい道を行きたいんだ。
Junichi's work on the Hedgehog hopefully isn't coming to an end anytime soon, and I look forward to rewatching more games and seeing the new ones with his take on the blue blur. In the States, our first Sonic voices were not from video games, but in fact, cartoon shows. 3 individual shows, each with wildly different interpretations of Sonic and his world. The connecting tissue between all 3 shows? Jaleel White, famous for his role of Steve Urkel on Family Matters, was the voice of the Hedgehog throughout the 90s, voicing him in the off-the-walls adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog, the dark and mature Sonic SatAM, and Sonic Underground. In this show, Sonic is in a band. White's performances across all 3 shows are similar, but do consider the tone of the show specifically. Adventures has him hamming it up a bit more, playing into the slapsticks tone the show goes for.
Look, Tails! It's a Save Us Sonic distress call! Speed time, kid!
Gotcha!
SatAM sees him being a bit more mellow with the performance, playing it up in moments of levity, but getting severe when the scene requires it.
Sonic? Is that you, Sonny?
Uncle Chuck! Yes! Man, I sure missed you.
I missed you too.
And Underground is unique, and that is the only time Sonic is shown to have siblings in any media, Sonia and Manic, and White voices the both of them. His voices for all three sound a little bit too similar for me, but considering Underground's budget was most likely less than the cost of a shoestring, I'm willing to bet White and the voice directors weren't exactly firing on all cylinders for that one.
Just hanging out, bro?
Like I said, fraught with danger. Danger?
You mean this nifty hammock?
But this isn't the last time White would ever play Sonic. In 2013, a fan film featuring the Hedgehog was created and released online, featuring very little of the titular character, but what we did see of him saw the return of a recognizable voice. Jaleel White was back, if only for a few lines, but it was sweet to see him acknowledge the fan community and his own past by doing the voice once again.
Way past cool, huh?
Another piece of animations fans of Sonic will want me to touch on is the Sonic the Hedgehog OVA, or Sonic the Hedgehog the Movie as it was released in the States. In both Japan and America, Sonic's voice was done by one-time appearances for the Hedgehog. In Japan, Masami Kukichi did Sonic's voice. I'm not too familiar with most of his other works, but his role I'm most familiar with is the Clown Destroyer god of Universe 11 himself, Belmont from Dragon Ball Super. His performance as Sonic in Metal Sonic is good, but I think Sonic's voice sounds a little bit too deep?
これからが本当の勝負だ。どっちかぶっ倒れるまでやろうぜ、メタル。何？この世にソニックは2人はいらねえ。俺一人でいいだと？俺もそう思うぜ。俺の心が読めるかもしれねえけど、俺にもお前のことが伝わってくるんだ。なんか変な感じだぜ。
Not to say the performance is terrible, I think I'm just too used to Junichi Kanemaru's voice, and hearing a different one is throwing me off. But getting to watch the OVA again with a different voice cast was neat, and at the very least, I felt the cast overall was much better than the one we got overseas. In the US, Martin Burke voiced our blue friend, and I think everyone watching this video has at least heard a clip from this movie's dub. Whether it be through parody, reanimations, or the original film itself, Burke's performance is legendary among Sonic fans in the West, and it's a real shame we never got another take on the Hedgehog from him.
Goodness, everything's all right. Almost. Not quite. What did you do that for? So now we're finally even, Sonic. What do you mean? Come back!
Sonic, wait for me! Wait for me!
Why did you hit me? I was getting you back for stepping on my head, Sonic.
I don't remember doing that.
Well, you did not.
I could take or leave the rest of the cast in this film, but Burke's Sonic works so well in this movie, and I'm a bit disappointed we didn't get to see him in another project. Finally, we've moved on to the American voices in the games, three men who have all lent their talents to the Hedgehog, starting off with Ryan Drummond, the first and my first voice for the Hedgehog. His tenure on Sonic was the shortest lived, but he did have a good string of games, ranging from Adventure to Sonic Advance 3. Or Sega Superstars, but that's not a Sonic game and a much wimpier note to end on than a Sonic Advance game. Drummond's Sonic was rough to begin with. In Sonic Adventure, though, that's not a slight against Drummond, but more an observation against the direction Sonic Team was giving the English actors back then. The scripts the voice actors were given had no context as to what was being said, who was speaking in the scene, vital information that would help improve their performances. It's incredible Sonic sounds half as good as he does in the game, considering just how bad some of the other characters came out of it.
Whoa! What do you think you're doing?
All right. Put him up. Hand over the emerald now.
That's not gonna happen, buddy!
By Adventure 2 and Heroes, though, Drummond and the cast had improved drastically, to the point where many better lines in the series are given a solid delivery thanks to Drummond. Though it sucks as Adventure 2 lines are drowned out by the soundtrack and each subsequent re-release we get.
What are you, anyway? What you see is what you get. Just a guy that loves adventure. I'm Sonic the Hedgehog!
I see.
Heroes was Drummond's last Sonic game with the original dialogue recorded for Sonic. While it may be disappointing to see his career with Sonic being so short-lived, he has announced he will be teaming up with Mike Pollock and Emily Jones to star in an unofficial radio drama where he reprises his role as Sonic. I'm personally incredibly excited to see Ryan back in the role, and you can be sure I'll be there day one to listen to it. In 2003, Sonic X started airing in the United States, and 4Kids decided to recast every character in the show instead of bringing over any actors from the games. While I never noticed the voice change, only starting to watch Sonic X in 2006 thanks to reruns, I'm sure for many fans watching when it was new, Jason Griffith's voice coming out of Sonic the Hedgehog's mouth was shocking to say the least. In Sonic X especially, I think Griffith's performance is really rough during the first season of the show, which isn't exactly surprising considering Sonic was his first ever voice role.
If you can push it before I grab it.
Over time, though, the performance slowly became his own, with some bumps in the road, like his Shadow the Hedgehog performance being the only time Sonic has sworn in English, and his work in 06 being the blandest Sonic has ever sounded. Still, in Unleashed and Black Knight, his Sonic is on point. Griffith has said Unleashed is his favorite Sonic game, and it shines through in his voice work in this game.
Thank you, Sonic. Goodbye, friend. Hey! Whoa, what?
Where do you think you're off to all by yourself?
What? But my memory is back now, and, well, from here on out, it's my responsibility, so, I mean, there's no reason for you to come along, so I should just...
Do I need a reason to want to help out a friend?
I think if I were going off best single game performances for Sonic, Unleashed and Black Knight for Griffith are top 10. Both are quintessentially Sonic and in all of the best ways. And just like his predecessor, Sonic once again saw a voice change when he was finding his footing vocally, this time to an actor who's done both Batman and Captain America, Roger Craig Smith. His first performance with the Sonic game was in an announcement done for a Sonic amusement park ride, in which his voice clips for Sonic were slowed down and edited to sound different, which of course caused a wave of criticism online, and it wasn't a good precedent to set for the new voice. However, his first performance in a game, Sonic Colors, was excellent. While I have said I think the writing of the games from Colors onwards were pretty weak, when Roger is given a good line, he makes it his own.
No copyright law in the universe is going to stop me!
Is one of the best deliveries for a silly line in the series. His Sonic was directed to sound older than Griffith's and Drummond's, and while the tone of the games especially seemed to miss that fact, I do thoroughly enjoy his lines in Colors and Forces.
That I smell. You reek of fear. Glad to see I left an impression.
That's not fear. I ran all the way over here.
His Lost World performance is good as well, but similar to some of Griffith's games, the lines and general tone of the game makes what he has to work with lacking and leads to some sillier lines. Many fans will agree that Roger's best work on the franchise has been with Sonic Boom, aka Hedgehog Seinfeld. While the games are infamous in their own right, the voice work in the games, and particularly in the animated series, is fantastic, to the point where it makes me genuinely sad for everyone involved that they haven't been able to flex their acting chops in a game quite like this. Roger even lends his talents to more than just Sonic, playing many side characters and even himself in a quick little wordplay joke.
Coming in for a hard landing, Tails. You got me covered?
Roger.
Who's Roger? He's talking to me.
And with the next Sonic game looking to feature him again, he is the longest tenured Sonic voice actor in English by a good few years, and hopefully this means he'll get to be part of a string of some truly solid games for the series again. Last but not least, Ben Schwartz, the voice of Sonic from your 2020 Oscar winner for Best Picture, Sonic the Hedgehog. Schwartz's role as Sonic was announced in 2018, and many, myself included, were a little nervous. Would this be similar to films like Scoob, where they ignore the established voice actors in favor of a big name? While some might argue that, I think Ben's voice work in the film was perfect for the story and character we saw on screen. This is the most unique Sonic we've had in a mainstream project for the Hedgehog, featuring him at his most immature and childlike. Schwartz's excitable and high-pitched voice makes for the perfect choice for this role. I will admit, I don't want to see him take over for the Sonic games unless we get movie Sonic as a playable character alongside Classic Sonic, Dreamcast Sonic, and Werehog Sonic in Sonic Generations 2 into the Sonicverse, featuring all of his voice actors in English, and Junichi Kanemaru earning the biggest paycheck ever in Japan. Now, because I know I'll get asked, who's my favorite voice for Sonic? I don't really have one, and I know that sounds like a cop-out, but I do have favorites for other characters. Sonic's just lucky because every major actor he's had over the years has understood the weight behind the role, and has given an excellent performance that make me flip-flop all the time on who my favorite is. I know whenever I'm reading Archie's early comics, I can hear Jaleel White in my head. When the comics and Sonic himself get serious, it's Jason Griffith, and when Sonic's acting cocky and spouting one-liners, I hear Drummond's Sonic. IDW's comics are firmly for Roger, especially considering the writing of both the comics and games feature the same guidelines. Over the years, the character has been very fortunate to not have a voice actor that's done him completely dirty, and I'm thankful for all of the actors and directors who have made sure to that. With all that said, I wanted to keep looking at Sonic characters and their voice actors. There are tons of characters featured in this franchise, and I'd love to cover other characters like Tails, Eggman, Shadow, Knuckles, Amy, Blaze, etc. Be sure to leave a comment down below on which character you'd want to see me cover next. And with that, thank you guys so much for watching, and have a great day.